Hey, what is up, everybody? Ross Cessna from Spiritual Phoenix Studios here. Like I mentioned yesterday, I'm going to start sharing more of my practice and less of trying to teach people. And if people want to learn more about my practice, you can ask questions and I'll share then, right? But anyhow, today is a lunar eclipse, also a full moon. And although people make a big deal about that, it's not as uncommon as we might think, right? But there is a lot of good energy to be working with here. So I wanted to kind of go over the practice that I did today and maybe give you some ideas since there's still some time to work with it. My understanding is you have 24 hours on either side of the full moon to work with it. It's just best the more centered you get in that, like when the moon or when the full moon is going on, the better it is, but it doesn't have to be precise. Anyhow, let's get into the overall feel of everything. So, we'll start with the lunar eclipse because that's a little bit rare. So, this is the energy of today and everything. And I realize that the image that I have is more of like a sun or a fireball. I thought it was cool. If you don't like the images, make your own videos. Like I say that as a joke, like very sarcastically. You'll get used to me. Anyhow, so one of the big things of this is getting in touch with our needs right now. And so much of what our needs are have shifted from last year to this year. Like last year, many of us were in kind of survival mode. Now we're back in things are opening up again mode, and it seems a lot more sustainable opening up this time. And it's actually really uncomfortable. For me, as somebody who's introverted, to have like that year and a half isolation period was revelatory. And now going back out into the world is very, very challenging for me. But it's also something that I need to do. So getting in touch with my needs has been challenging, right? Clearing limiting patterns, especially attitudes and beliefs. So that's another big thing that's actually coming up. Like all of this stuff is pretty cohesive with right where I'm at in life. And then if you look at everything else that's going on astrologically now, it kind of all falls in line too. But for me, like I had shed all my attitudes and beliefs one way for a period of like 5 years. And then I shed a lot of those beliefs last year. And I'm finding that neither belief structure really holds water. So, like, I'm completely redefining everything in a big way and maintaining some. How do I want to put this? There's a foundational practice that I have that's allowed me to have stability as I navigate like this giant fucking shift in my life. But there's still some more work to let go of things, I guess is the best way to put it, right? Sensitivity to our flaws is another thing that comes up. For me personally, how this has been manifesting is largely like not accepting my own humanity. So for the past like 4 or 5 years, up until we'll say like up until last year, so much of my energy had been spent on like literally being the physical best person I could be, despite any consequences that it had, right? And as I've walked back from that, I've really beat myself up for being a human and like needing to rest and needing to take breaks and not wanting to work all the time and things like that. And they're not really even flaws, but then like the things that I actually do that are like flaws that need work, I've been even more touchy on lately, just because I'm so sensitive about everything else. But this actually dials into the next point of this whole series of things that are going on. Over exaggeration. I'm taking myself, my my purpose, everything that I'm doing way too fucking seriously, and I've forgotten that the whole impetus of all of this is just living a better life. It's never about being perfect. It's never about delivering the perfect message to everybody. It's about being authentic, being real, being vulnerable, showing up, making mistakes, and getting back up, right? We need to approach life with a level of seriousness and worth, but not take it so serious that we fuck ourselves up mentally, like I've been doing. So I'm working through that, right? And honestly, we're going to get into kind of what I did for my ritual to kind of put all of this in context. So the full moon in the part of the world that I'm in was at 7:34ish or so this morning. I don't remember the specific time. So I actually tried to do it as close to the time as I could. I'm going to pull up the practice thing. So I wanted to do it at the moon hour and do the moon prayer. Moon hour would have put me in like the middle of the day or more like 10 o'clock ish. And I was at the chiropractor and it just didn't work, right? None of the other times worked. So I've been using planetary hours more, and I've been doing like daily planetary prayers. I've been doing the daily planetary prayers now for like 2 months. So today was Wednesday, which is Mercury. So I did Mercury hour and Mercury day prayer to kind of start everything off. Actually, let me walk that back. That's not when I did it. I started this at Mercury hour on Mercury day. I did the heart coherence practice, which is like a breathing exercise. Breathe in for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, and you do that for like 5 minutes, and it sinks your body into like this really deep meditative state. Then from there, I entered into, I'm in a, how do I want to put this? A secret society mystical order type thing. I don't want to get too much into it because it's not really worth talking about. And it's okay to mention that I'm in it. I just don't want to give too many specifics of it. But anyhow, one of the things they have you do is astrally project in the morning and in the evening to like this kind of place on the astral plane. So I did that, went through that whole process, came back. Then I did like, I invoked Mercury. I invoked the moon. Then I kind of went through and asked the moon to help me overcome some of the barriers that I had. I wasn't going to do this, but I guess I will. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee and then I'll kind of run through it. But I also did like an extensive inventory last night of like, I looked at what my 5 biggest issues were, what the root cause of those issues were, and then broke them down into things that I needed help with so I could kind of request them to be released and changed and transformed by this energy. But let's get into everything. So prior to what I'm about to read, I did the planetary prayer for Mercury. And so I don't have that written here. You can look that up or I can give it to you if you're curious. But anyhow, I went, Mercury, the messenger of the gods, I beseech you to carry my plan to Lady Luna, the midwife of the heavens. So after that, I did the moon's planetary prayer, which I normally say on Mondays. And then once I finished that prayer, I went into my own kind of petition to the moon. Lady Luna, I ask your assistance as you alone can help to navigate seemingly endless cycles. Release me from these cycles, which are an enemy to my life and those I seek to serve. And then I went through and kind of read what I wanted to be removed. And I normally wouldn't share this, but I guess I will. May my mentality towards money be laid to rest, so a more accurate and helpful one may take its stead. I have a really negative association with money due to childhood, and there's like a whole biological reasoning behind it. It's actually completely practical. Like there was no blame or anything at anybody for that belief structure, but I gotta let it go. Next one is may my mentality, may the tired wounds of a broken heart be released so that new romance may enter. I used to be an incredibly romantic young dude. Granted, I was incredibly flawed in my approach to it. Over the years, pulled back from that, kind of like emotionally dead in that area now. I'd like to have some of that back, so I'll work on that. May my 2 extreme approaches to lifestyle management coalesce into a balanced whole. And by that, used to be a partier. Then I went to this extreme type A personality. Both of them were excessive and destructive. And now I'm trying to figure out how to like have some of the chill of partier me, because partier me like didn't give a fuck and like was mellow as shit a lot of the time, with obvious areas where I wasn't. But then type A me was never fucking chill and never happy and miserable, but I wasn't in trouble. And I wasn't like mentally in a lot of the situations, just different expressions of the same problem. So anyhow, and then lastly, may I neither seek to run from change, rather let a harmonious flowing take place. The other thing is this. I used to always want things to change, like looking for things to be different to make me comfortable. So like trying to find peace in outside circumstances, or I would not want anything to change because I was really comfortable and I would resist it. That's not life, dude. Like life is knowing when to change things. Because there's that whole thing of, I don't know if you've ever heard it, like dead fish go with the flow. Like sometimes you have to swim against the stream of life. Like there's no other way around it. Like if I didn't swim against life, I would not be where I'm at right now. At the same time, sometimes you literally have to go with the flow of life because fighting is going to kill you. Which, again, if I wouldn't have gone with the flow, once my life was pushing me towards like changing everything in my life, I'd be dead. So you gotta find, like, you gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them is the best way to put it. So I'm trying to get more clarity on that. And then lastly, I ended with, Lady Luna, please aid me in my quest to clear space for new things to flourish. Master Mercury, may you carefully and safely convey this message. Peace be with you. And look, I've never said peace be with you. I know it's like a Christian or Catholic thing, so it's weird that it entered my mind. But that was what came to me intuitively. And then anyhow, so that's what I did today. I don't know if you're going to try anything yourself. I would suggest that you find your own practice that makes sense to you. These are things that I piece together from different things, and I try to make it as respectful to everybody else's beliefs. Like I really try to use deities or things like that that would be more closely linked to my ancestral lineage. But even then, I view these more as archetypes. Like I really want to have kind of like a non, I'm trying to think of the word here that I'm looking for. My personal practice doesn't necessarily view these deities as real so much as archetypes or energies that I'm trying to like communicate with. And I don't know that that's going to be understood by everybody, which it's okay. But I think like removing some of the deity aspect of it's important, but I want to make that clear that like I'm not asking the moon or Mercury to like do these things for me. Like that's not how I think it works. And I don't think that there's like these disembodied figures that are going to do this. Like I think that there's energies that I can work with and call on and get their assistance. And even that's not like an accurate interpretation of my beliefs. I'm going to close with this because I'm just going to ramble otherwise. What I've experienced is there's something wild and unexplainable in life, and we can't fully explain it, and trying to explain it fully breaks down the mystery. People that know what I'm trying to say will get it, and people that won't will think I'm just crazy or weird, which they're not mutually exclusive to anything anyhow, but anyhow, you get the idea. Thanks so much for checking this out. I hope that you have a great day, and we'll chat.